Welcome back. Welcome into the Veiled Archive. Now, I know I say this, or have been saying this a lot recently, but we're going to dive right in. This is going to be a long one. Ask yourself, is freedom a destiny or a lie? We're diving into Bruce Brown's visceral reimagining of the H.P. Lovecraft classic, The Cats of Ulthar. This book is a generational epic that takes the idea of the cute, domesticated cat and subjects it to the ultimate philosophical horror. It strips away the comforting facade of the suburban pet, revealing the savage inheritor of a land where comfort is the most dangerous prison. The greatest terror here isn't a demon or a ghost, it's the moment the oppressed realize their fate has fallen into their own hands, and that true liberation must often be written in blood. Join us as we explore a book that has earned the Literary Titan Gold Medal Award and find out why the art in this graphic novel isn't just supporting the text, it is the story. Let's turn the page to The Cats of Ulthar. What is the graphic novel about? The Cats of Ulthar is a dark, dramatic reimagining of the short story written by legendary horror writer H.P. Lovecraft in 1920. The original tale explains how a law forbidding the killing of cats came to be in a town named Ulthar. This adaptation frames the story as an ancestral tale, a bedtime story told by a father to his sons on the night before a long journey home. The story focuses on the father's grandfather, a wild, free roaming cat who lived outside the protected castles where other cats were kept as pets by giants. The grandfather rejected the prison of comfort, choosing to live free, even if it meant he would go hungry or shiver in the cold. His life changed when the arrival of a caravan of strangers and a young boy who traveled with a beloved cat companion, Kezia. When Kezia went missing, the grandfather and the young boy followed the footsteps toward unspeakable horror at an isolated house. What sets it apart? A story of liberation and rage. The narrative subverts the traditional pet owner dynamic, reframing it as a prison of comfort. The horror is driven by the sheer rage of the oppressed seizing their freedom. The power of rebirth. The grandfather's supernatural transformation is a profound plot element. He is reborn with enhanced senses and strength, evolving into a powerful being capable of achieving vengeance and inciting a revolution. A dark fable of control. The final pages reveal the story to be a lie told to protect innocence. The grandfather's chilling message to his kin is that a cat's fate has fallen into their own hands, and they are slaves no more. Reader's response. The reception for Bruce Brown's reimagining of The Cats of Ulthar is exceptionally strong, affirming its status as a piece of powerful visual literature. Readers consistently praise its unflinching tone and the aesthetic brilliance of the artwork. It's been a Literary Titan Gold Medal Award. This book has achieved high critical distinction, notably earning the Literary Titan Gold Medal Award. Literary Titan praised the work, stating, "It left me shaken and thoughtful," and gave it a perfect 5-star rating. This medal is awarded to books that achieve exceptional literary quality, going above and beyond in their ability to deliver memorable storytelling and sophisticated thematic content. This prestigious recognition confirms that the graphic novel successfully transcends the episodic nature of, say, comic books, achieving the high literary standard required of the form. In core reader takeaways, readers found the book's themes and structure compelling, citing its raw power and artistic execution. A mythic and unsettling fable. The narrative is praised for its ability to transform a bedtime story into a dark memory of captivity, vengeance, and rebirth. What begins as a tale of survival swells into a narrative of transformation, wrath, and liberation, compelling the reader while simultaneously feeling unsettling. The story's central idea that freedom is bought in blood is noted for its haunting and violent power. The power of aesthetic and tone. Readers noted the writing carried a sharp edge and a mythic quality, gripping them with its bluntness and willingness to hold nothing back. The tone never preached and never softened, whispering its themes through shadow and silence. This dedication to atmosphere and dread is a testament to the creative team's skill. Seamless fusion of art and text. The collaboration between writer Bruce Brown and artist Thomas Boatwright is consistently highlighted. The illustrations are described as gorgeously crafted and capturing the spirit of Lovecraft in every panel. The artwork is the story itself, conveying the sense of dread beautifully and making the entire experience vivid and compelling. The tension and brutality and justice. The common reaction is the intense emotional tension the story creates, leaving readers torn between rooting for the cats and recoiling at the brutality. The book succeeds by blurring the line between freedom and cruelty, proving it is a profound work of horror that successfully introduces newcomers to the story while offering a fresh, alternate viewpoint for longtime Lovecraft fans. The universal sentiment is that Cats of Ulthar is a must read for fans of dark fables and Lovecraft, delivering a story that claws at them a little and balances beauty with terror. The key creative team and style. The creative team brought a unique vision to this classic tale. Writer Bruce Brown, art by Thomas Boatwright, letters by Marco Dea Verde, and cover by Flavia Andreza. Style and tone. The art style is dark, painterly, and visceral, emphasizing the savage nature of the main characters and the grim nature of their vengeance. Language detail. The dialogue and narration are dramatic. Notably, the grandfather and the young boy use Romanian phrases when calling for the missing companion. And then our author spotlight. Bruce Brown is a prolific author and graphic novelist with a career spanning over 2 decades, confirming his deep, long-standing commitment to the Lovecraftian lineage and the graphic novel structure. Reimagining the mythos. Brown is the creator and author of the Howard Lovecraft graphic novel series. This series includes titles like Howard Lovecraft and the Frozen Kingdom and Howard Lovecraft and the Undersea Kingdom. The series was created to introduce the works of H.P. Lovecraft to children of all ages. The humor of horror. Brown also tackled another iconic Lovecraft creation with the graphic novel Dr. Herbert West's Astounding Tales of Medical Malpractice. This story reimagines the notorious reanimator as a young genius doctor who creates a botched serum. In the spine-tingling tale, the dead walk the streets in search of Johnny Cakes. Structural commitment. Brown's long history as a graphic novelist confirms his dedication to the medium's structural power. His work, including The Cats of Ulthar, A Tale Reimagined, continuously fuses ancient dread with modern cultural anxiety, positioning him as a master of the small-town, cosmic epic pillar of horror. Visual narrative, the dysfunctional distinction. To properly assess this work, we need a central note on the topic of visual narratives, which commonly fall into two categories, the comic book and the graphic novel. A distinction must be made between them, even if you think you already know them. In a comic book, the art supports the dialogue. The illustrations primarily serve as a scenic backdrop, visually anchoring the text and showing general action and setting. The story's plot and momentum are chiefly conveyed through the dialogue, captions, and internal monologues. In a graphic novel, however, the art is the story. The illustrations are structurally indispensable and function as the primary vehicle for thematic subtext, psychological states, and critical plot details that cannot be articulated in text alone. The visual composition and aesthetic commitment carry the full literary weight, requiring the reader to interpret the image to fully grasp the narrative rather than simply reading the caption. This distinction is vital for a title like The Cats of Ulthar, as the graphic novel format confirms a structural commitment to high-level, inescapable philosophical closure, rather than episodic entertainment. And similar comparisons to this work would just be Lovecraftian horror generally. The story is directly based on a short story by H.P. Lovecraft, a foundational text in cosmic horror. The themes of a desperate plea being answered by an external force align with the genre's concept of overwhelming non-human entities. Another comparison would be Animal Farm by George Orwell, thematically similar in its exploration of a revolt by oppressed animals against their human masters, leading it to a new collective rule established throughout a brutal act of violence. And then just cosmic horror of inversion. The story echoes works where the protagonist confronts an inversion of reality. In this case, the creature that looks like a cat, often seen as harmless, is revealed as the powerful, savage, and rightful inheritor of the land, proclaiming Ulthar was ours. And then my review. Bruce Brown's The Cats of Ulthar, A Tale Reimagined, is a powerful entry into any Lovecraft reimagining, merging complex thematic concepts of the horror genre with meticulous authority, exemplified through the equally powerful imagery that conveys the story effortlessly. This work stands as an exceptional structural commitment to the graphic novel format, proving the medium is a formidable vehicle for philosophical dread. The narrative successfully frames itself as a generational epic, quickly descending from a father's bedtime story into a chilling memory of captivity, vengeance, and rebirth. The writing carries a sharp, mythic quality, relentlessly exploring the tension between freedom and cruelty, and the idea that vengeance can be both a curse and a gift. This unforgiving tone leaves the reader shaken and thoughtful, blurring the line between horror and human complexity. The artistic execution is indispensable, confirming that the art is the story. The illustrations are gorgeously crafted, capturing the spirit of Lovecraft in every panel and conveying the terrifying pursuit of justice through visual power rather than dialogue alone. This transformative work has earned critical distinction, including the Literary Titan Gold Medal Award, confirming, confirming its exceptional literary quality and sophisticated thematic content. Highly recommended for readers who appreciate dark fables and visual literature that successfully balances beauty with terror. So then my take on this. Generally, the graphic novel is not something that ends up in my wheelhouse. Um, this one fell into my lap, and I could not have been more appreciative. Um, it, not that graphic novels are unknown to me. Used to be one of the best ways to get some of the storytelling I felt was a little more mature than the random comic books, and in IPs like Star Wars and even Tron between movies. That was the best way to really revisit the those universes. So I do have a very great appreciation for them. I just didn't know that horror could be so fascinating in the format, and I was really taken aback right away. I have read comic books in the past. It's also not something that I frequent, but the reason that I added that section in here as far as the distinction was that in comic books, my eyes are always drawn to the word balloons. And in this case, although, there is dialogue within the graphic novel, your eyes, you got to search to find it through the illustrations. Um, and that for me was a huge surprise. Because even back in the day with the Star Wars ones or the Tron one that I did mention, um, it was kind of the same case. The illustrations were obviously the point, but they did not have the same impact that this did for me. So, and I know I did mention some of Bruce Brown's other works, and although they are geared for children, I may go and take a look at them, um, based solely on this book. Now, as I mentioned, I know that those ones are geared towards children. This one is crafted for adults, and I understand that, but uh, telling the story in a visual format like that is refreshing, quite honestly. If you frequent the channel, we spend a lot of time staring at blank pages full of black words, you know what I'm trying to say? Not blank pages, but and let her start moving around on you after you've spent a few hours doing that. And it can be even on your Kindle device. Um, so it is kind of nice to change that up a little bit. And I think that's really what makes this a highlight for the channel, to be honest, is that it is such a departure from the norm. Um, so realistically, my final take is the Cats of Ulthar is pure proof that graphic novel is a perfect vehicle for sophisticated horror. There's really no other way to put it. You as you read like any type of horror, any form, your mind is building picture upon picture, and that's not necessarily consistent 1 minute to the next. So with a graphic novel, that consistency is there the whole time. It leaves less for the imagination and more for you to understand what the story is actually about. I think that makes sense because that's kind of what it did for me. And I highest praise for the writing specifically, but the rest of his team. And I know we mentioned him earlier in the video, but the illustrator uh is just above and beyond, and yeah, I don't know what else to say that I haven't already said outside of I highly recommend this for any Lovecraft fan, but realistically for any horror fan. I think this would be a valuable addition to your collection. Um, the one thing I do want to mention is that this is not free on Kindle Unlimited, but that does not break our rules on the channel because we have done a couple that aren't. And believe the very first video we made reviewing a book was the same case. But either way, I mean, it's inexpensive on Kindle. Um, and the larger the device, the better. So you can really, really appreciate the artwork. Outside of that, kind of wraps up the review for this, for the Cats of Ulthar. I had a lot of fun reviewing this one because I had to do a lot of homework on my own. This review itself is what inspired that Lovecraft video the other day, just simply because I was astounded by what I found out. And I know I tried to condense or cram everything I could in under an hour, and we could spend days on that. But that did inspire other projects, and stay tuned for updates regarding that. But let's just keep going here. So, next up on the channel, next time on the Veiled Archive, what if the oldest college in the nation was built on a lie? We're reviewing Beatrice Winifred's Eicher's Southern Gothic debut, I'll Make a Spectacle of You. Graduate student Zora Robinson is in the Appalachian Studies program at Brixbury when her advisor suggests she research a beast roaming the woods. She uncovers a terrifying secret. The school's history is tied to a rumored secret society called the Keepers. The descent is brutal. Zora is plagued by visions of the past. Her grip on reality starts to slip, and when a student goes missing, she realizes the Keepers may never have been disbanded. We'll find out why there is something in the woods and why it has fixed its eyes directly on her. Well, I hope you're enjoying these reviews. At the cost of being redundant, we do pay homage to the algorithm gods. We really appreciate a like and subscribe, and please share. We are growing this community, widening the circle, so to speak, and I am trying to do my best to shine a light on new authors. Almost all of the books, actually, yes, all of the books that we've featured so far here in the last few months have all been newer releases. Well, new this year, so 2025 releases. And I would like to continue that trend. Now, there will be times when we do go back, or I would like to anyway, go back and seek out maybe some older, less known or lesser known novels, novellas, short stories, and graphic novels. Um, so yeah, anyways, with that said, please like and share. Please like and subscribe and share, or one of the three, or none of them, and leave a comment. Either way, it helps me out, it helps the authors out, and it is getting noticed. The authors themselves have been reaching out, stating that the the channel is helping to get their books out into the world a little bit more, and every little bit helps. So with that, until next time on the Veiled Archive.